Welcome back to the League Championship Series studio here in Cologne. Coming up next is a repeat of last Saturday's thriller between Dragonborns and Gambit. But first, since we're in our final week of play in the Spring Split, let's take you through how the playoffs and promotion relegation system works in the LCS. Now, this is where it gets interesting. So, teams that are ranked 1 and 2 right now, of course, Gambit, Fnatic and then Gambit will qualify directly for those semi-finals. You can see there LCS first place, LCS second in the semi-finals. Now, 3rd and 6th will play each other in the first quarter-final. 4th will play 5th in the other quarter-final. The losers of those 2 quarter-finals plus the 7th and 8th teams from the LCS will enter the summer promotion tournament.
And of course, that tournament will feature also 8 additional Challenger Circuit teams. As you can see on the graphic, we have multiple stages to this promotion tournament. And the first 4 amateur teams which earned their spots came from Lille and the ESL Go for LOL series. And they will battle against the top 4 teams from last week's Challenger Circuit qualifier. The 12 teams in the summer promotion tournament will be competing for 4 spots left in the summer split of the League of Legends Championship Series.
Yep, and we'll be looking, of course, to make League of Legends, with that, their full-time job, which some teams that we have in there right now might not have the privilege of in that summer split. So, on to our next game, Dragonborns versus Gambit. Up until last weekend, Dragonborns were on a woeful run, 0 for 14, if you don't have that in mind. But we saw a lot of promise in their loss against Gambit. Yes, they lost in the end, but they did play very, very well. They managed then to turn that form into a win, their first win in 15 games against the Giants. Yesterday, though, was not really their best day, and from what we've seen today, not their best day either so far.
Very true, and Gambit has also cemented their place in the top 2 with a win against the Giants yesterday, and will look to take first place with a win over the Dragonborns. And we cannot forget that even though Dragonborns are guaranteed to stay the bottom 2 of the spring split, they are fighting for seeding in the promotion relegation matches. They don't want to go up against Meet Your Makers. They want to have a relatively easier team just so they can try to get their spot back into LCS. And just as Joe mentioned, the team has shown a breath of life last week. However, there were some moments in the games where there's still some problems we saw from the earlier Dragonborns. There was confusion in the calls and people not following them or just not really sure where to go with it just yet.
Yeah.
But yesterday, they really couldn't catch a break versus SK. And it just didn't seem to help that at all. I mean, you mentioned they just did not look on form yesterday, and we'll see if they can come into this next match after the one previously and try to come with a new mentality and try to come back into the game and hopefully pick up a win.
Yeah, we did see that interesting build coming out of Hosan's Ezreal. Went straight in for the Manamoon early on, which was the second interesting build of the day that we'd seen on Ezreal after Nono bursted out the Spirit of the Elder Lizard and went into the Iceborne Gauntlet as well. But that build for Hosan didn't really work out in the end.
Yeah, it did not. And then Gambit, I mean, they started off their game with a bang. I looked at Alex's runes and masteries during that game, and he had the flat armor pen, the 8% armor pen. He had 8% magic pen as well, and he wanted to punish Exer as much as possible, which he did consistently. He pushed him out of lane over and over. But, as Morden camped that lane, he was able to get back in the game. And Gambit were able to close the game out, though, because they shine through in their team fights. Like, that's what they're known for. That's what they've been really working well on, and it shows their experience as a team.
So let's have a look then at the 2 lineups, starting with the Dragonborns. They'll have blue side, and with that first pick for this one, with Yamato Cannon in that top lane. Obviously the newest addition to this team, technically, since Maluno is an old addition, a new addition from the old lineup. You know what I'm talking about. He's got to definitely shine in this one. Maluno, of course, back in the jungle, Shushay in the middle lane, Hosan the AD carry, and Muvert the support.
And of course, over on the Gambit side with the 3 all-star players, you have Darren in the top lane, Diamond in the jungle, Alexich in the mid lane, and Genja and Edward at the bottom.
So let's take a look at the 2 key players for this one. Starting out with Dragonborn's aggressive AD carry Hosan, who didn't have the best time of things in their matches yesterday, and from what we've seen today.
But still, it's always nice to see him play because he is one of the most, if not the most aggressive carries in European LCS. His Draven is always targeted with bans. And you might see some sneaky strategies out of him because, we've seen him play AP in the mid lane. We've seen him play AP Nilly Soraka in the bottom lane. I want to see his Ezreal didn't work out too well yesterday with the Manamoon. He wasn't able to punish Kevin, which we saw. Like, you can't let Kevin do that because in the last game with SK, he just will snowball on you and take the game.
Well, he did it again, right?
Yeah.
And that's the problem. You've got to punish those 1v2 lanes. And his opposite number for this one is, of course, Genja, a player who's definitely more passive than Hosan. But as we said, maybe everyone, and maybe every AD carry is more passive than Hosan at this stage. But has shown that he can play aggressive when he really wants to. That early GA build yesterday, which we'll touch on, for example. But you know, even though he is passive, that fits his team's play style very, very well. Even if he falls behind, he kind of goes out of the game. You don't notice him for a while.
Yes.
Then you look at his CS score and you're like, wow, he's actually got right back up there in terms of farm. He can farm very quietly in their back.
And that's what they kind of based their team around. I mean, you have Darren pushing the top lane, being aggressive. You have him doing that, and he always becomes this late game force. I mean, yesterday you saw his score. It was just ridiculous. And the thing is about his playstyle, like back at Intel Extreme Masters Katowice, he was very aggressive, and it caught both Azubis at the time off guard. And then people got used to that, so he started to counter that, able to punish him, so he became more of a passive defensive player. But then, just like you said, yesterday, he switched his play style up again, and it was nice to see because that Guardian Angel Bloodthirster combo, they could not touch him, and he was able to just jump into a team fight without being scared.
Yeah, very, very important game here for Dragonborns, of course. They are in the 8th position right now. Things not been going well for them this weekend. Like we said, though, last week, they actually looked pretty strong. I mean, their game against Gambit, they definitely had a good chance of winning that one. They started off well. Gambit, as you come to expect from Gambit, even when they fall behind, you can never count them out because they can turn those games around. And that's what happened in that game against Dragonborns. They ended their losing streak with a victory over Giants, but they've not really found any more than that.
And the thing with Gambit is, like, we always say you give them a finger, they'll take your whole arm. But if you ever beat Gambit, like early on, like, yeah, you'll have more towers or yeah, you'll have more kills, but they'll always typically have more gold than you because they will out-farm you in every way possible. And then as you progress into the later fights, you know, when you get to Dragons, stuff like that, Gambit will most likely outplay you just because they've been together for such a long time. I mean, we're going on almost 2 years, if I'm not mistaken, you know, back to the Empire days, and they know each other inside and out. Like, they know how each other play, and they use that to their advantage to win those fights, to force the fights, and pretty much just take the games from you.
I think it showed how strong Gambit are, not just as a team, but individually as well. When we look down the All-Star votings, you know, poor old Genja, even though he finished top, had the, you know, the least amount of the vote there, so he was the one that was left out of things. And that just shows really how big this team is in terms of superstar players, but also the synergy that they have there in between them as well. It makes them, you know, the most successful European team in terms of wins up till date.
And the thing is, we kind of forget that they don't have a gaming house here. They don't have a gaming house in Russia either. They travel every week back and forth, and Edward, he doesn't even get home till like Tuesday because this fight takes so long. And yet they're still able to show this well of a team every week, inside and out. And you know, we're talking about Gambit a lot, but Dragonborns, like, you have to give them credit. Back in the earlier parts of the season, they surprised all of us with just their early game aggression, just out of nowhere, like how chaotic the games were and how they could control them. Maybe they need to get back to that style because it worked out so well for them then.
Now you saw Hosan with a cheeky grin over towards Edward. He's actually trolling him in chat right now. You know, a bit of mind games before we get going here. But the thing is, on the other hand, you know, you've got Edward, who is the master troll in that support lane. He will pull out all the stops to get his trolls out there as well as he can. You know, Gambit definitely going to be the favorites coming into this one. You guys at home voted, which of course you can do over on lolesports.com, for which team you want, or which team you think more likely to is going to win the game. For this one, it was 95% to 5%, obviously, maths. And that was obviously for Gambit in this one. So you guys at home not thinking that Dragonborns are going to win this one. I'm not sure if I'd leave it at 95 to 5 after last week's game. Probably more of a 94 to 6 person.
It's just a little extra percent over for Dragonborns, but if it was any time for them to shine, it would be now. Like, they even though they're out of LCS currently, they will be playing the promotion series. Like, they still have to come together as a team if they want to maintain their LCS career. I mean, they're getting paid to professionally play a video game. There's what, 8 million concurrent users like Max for League of Legends every day. I bet you at least half of those, if not more, would love to have that job. It would kill to have your job.
Yeah, they would. There's no doubt about that one. But the thing is, it doesn't quite go that way. It's not just about wanting it, almost. Right. You have to be able to perform on the day. They've got an experienced lineup. You know, Shushay, we've talked about it time and time again. He has that experience. Some of his teammates not quite there in terms of that, but that's something that after a half season here in the split, in the spring split, that you've got to have learnt by now. And Gambit, we talk about it all the time. we said against all authority, they've got a gaming house. Look how good they look right now. Gambit, I think the only time this is a comment from their manager, that they practice in their sleep. They imagine how they're practicing and dream about that. You know, and if only they could practice in the plane, I think that would be their best bet by now.
I'm actually really scared to see how well they could play if they sat down for 10 days to boot camp. Like, that has to be ridiculous.
And there you saw a sneak peek of the ESL stage manager. You guys know him on Twitter. And he brings us water, so he's a very nice guy, that's for sure. Well, let's get into the bans and the picks then, Jason. First up here for Thresh, or for Dragonborn, is Thresh. It's no surprise, Edward. And there is the Draven. That's a standard ban, and Hosen's like, what the hell? Why are you banning that Draven?
I know they were talking in the game earlier in the lobby, like, come on, let me play him. And, of course, Gambit's not going to give that to him. They want to take every win they can get. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Renekton ban come out of either team, to be honest. They don't want Darien playing it, but they also don't want Yamada Cannon on him. And also the jungle. Maybe you want to get Diamond out of his comfort zone eventually. You maybe take away the Nasus, force him to play Volibear, who has changed up a little bit. They do take away the Elise, which we've seen Darien play quite a bit lately in that top lane.
Yeah, at least out of that one, you can see Dragonborn's there communicating as to what they're going to go for here. With the pick, Spirits look high, and say what you want about Dragonborn's performance, they have fun even when they're losing.
Oh yeah, they are. And taking away that Jarvan right now, we have Maluna, who has played him 3 times and has won 2 of those games with him. So it shows there's a very strong Jarvan, and they don't want to go up against that. Of course, taking away the Kazakhs, you have to take that away from Alex. I mean, he will just pentakill you every opportunity he can get. But that's the thing, like, you have 3 bans against Gambit, and yet you want to ban out at least 12 champions. So it's like choosing the better of all evils.
It's almost better not to just ban anything and just be like, okay, you just come at us, because they've got an alternative for every ban, that's for sure. So what's the third and final ban going to be here then for Gambit? It's going to be Misfortune. So 2 AD carries out of this one. It tells me that Dragonborns might go for an AD carry first.
They would be smart to take Varus right now. Genji doesn't play him too much. He loves that Misfortune, but they're taking that away from Hosan. So that would be a good alternative for him to pick up. But also jungler on top of that as well. I mean, you know, there's Volibear, there's Nasus open if they want to go for that. But there's so many key picks that they can go for right now. I'm pretty sure that Dragonborns wasn't expecting 2 AD carries to be banned out. Yeah, and it looks like Nasus will actually be that choice here from the start of things. So Nasus will be locked in just a second, I'm imagining, at least, for from Dragonborn's side of things. And then we'll switch over on towards Gambit. We know that Diamond can play the Nasus well. We know that he can play Volibear, although Volibear not had the most successful times. I think we've seen him pick twice now in his 50%. You know, picked banned once as well, sorry. Won 1 game, lost 1 game. And there is a Darius, a Fiora. I'm just going to be quiet for now, but interested to see what they bring into it. And this is, you know, Gambit is securing that 1st and 2nd spot, which means we could actually see some interesting picks coming out for them, where they, you know, they got less pressure on them now. They can have a bit more fun in terms of what they're going for. And Mumu, we may see from Diamond. He played him before. They can also practice some like really wacky team compositions that they want to use maybe eventually later on. We saw Curse do that last night just to get a feel of it, to see how it is against the top teams in North America. But we do a Twisted Fate open, and we saw last week with SK dominating Gambit, that was because of Ocelot's Twisted Fate. And yet they do lock in that Sona and that Amumu. Yeah, and you see Darian on Darius will be great if that happens. And I'll apologize now if that comes out for mistakes when we're in the heat of the team fights. But what are Dragonborn's going to go for now? Thought that we might see AD carries coming out early, just for the fact that Draven and Misfortune are both out there, but both teams prioritizing elsewhere for their first round of picks. Dragonborns, though, now with 2 picks, of course, coming back to them, surely going to come out here. And with Thresh taken away, with Sona taken away, I wouldn't be surprised to see a Lulu on Mover to be picked up. I mean, it's a safe pick right now. You want to kind of delay picks if you want, or maybe go, or you maybe want to grab something if you can. Like I said, the Twisted Fate is still open at this point. We have Zed open, which we saw Yamato Cannon play quite a bit of in the top lane. And also the AD carry. I mean, it would be a good time to pick him up if you could. So there's a Jace, which... we've seen Dragonborns pick Jace before. Now, this is an interesting story about that one. They picked Jace to take it away. I forget which team it was. I think it was against Fnatic, maybe, or... Yeah, I'm going to go with that for now. So they picked him up just to take him away, and then after they locked him in, they said, okay, who's going to play him? Yeah, and no one wanted to play him, so hopefully they're a little bit more coordinated than that this week around. But Zed in there as well. The thing is, we have Zed. That's something Yamato Cannon plays, and then we have Jace. We might potentially see an AD carry Jace over on Hosan with that.
Well,
it's a potential.
It is Dragonborns. They have done some funky stuff. That AP Nidalee, Soraka bottom lane, Hosan playing then AP Nidalee in the mid lane, and Shushi coming down as the AD carry. So definitely won't rule it out at this stage of the season. You see there, Alex. He's got a cheeky smile on his face, which could mean some surprises from that side as well. Right now, Genja, no smiles, Ezreal. That's it. We're getting that one straight in there. No messing around. And Renekton is going to be picked up here for Darian.
You guys control, but I want to play my favorite champion. But we do have the Renekton on Darian. We talked about them before being a potential ban, because you don't want to have Darian playing, you don't want to have Yamato Cannon playing him, and yet they are going to give that over to him. And I'm being told last time we saw Mumu, actually, played by Diamond, was back until Extreme Masters Katowice. And they kept trying to pull off the Curse Aside Bullet Time combo against Azubu Blaze. Didn't work out.
Yeah, that was in the group stage.
Yeah,
more of a Curse of the Rubbish Sad Time is what it turned out to be in the end. It just didn't work at all in the group stage. I mean, they were rubbish in the group stages, to be honest. But they, of course, won the tournament in the end when they beat both of the Korean teams coming into the second and third day.
Nidalee? Well, we do see Soraka.
Don't like Soraka.
No, you got Nunu yesterday. You don't need Soraka today. You got snowballs. You don't need bananas.
No, you always need bananas. Sorry. So Soraka, Nidalee maybe
could be a potential, and that would mean Shushi would be on Jace.
And Jace in the middle. Yeah, that's very, very possible here. And it's going to be Kennen. They set us up for it perfectly there, but we got a Soraka, so I'm happy for now.
That won't be an AD Kennen. That's Shushi on Kennen mid lane, I have to say, and we're gonna see AD carry Jace. I mean, we saw Shushi cosplay Kennen at Gamescom last year. Could happen.
Sherlock Holmes, Jason Kaplan. Maybe. Let's see. There's a Karthus being picked up for Alex Ich right now. Whether he'll lock that in or not, we'll see.
Come on, Crystal Ball. Come on, Crystal Ball.
But, you know, you got a Mumu in there. You're going to have Karthus on top of it. You're going to have the Crescendo on top of it. It's everything in one area on the map, which, you know, we've seen these kind of big AoE comps that sometimes they work out brilliantly and sometimes they turn out to be really bad in the end. But if any team can pull it out and then a twisted fate in the end just to throw me off, it's definitely Gambit.
I was going to say it.
My crystal ball is non-existent.
I was going to say, what is the sound it makes when they use all the AoE in one spot?
Blum.
Okay. Just making sure.
Yeah.
But we do see currently that Hosan is sitting on Kennen still. We have Jace on Shushi right now, but they are known for switching last second. I mean, he's a Dragonborn, so you can't forget about that. So we'll see if that switches up, and we will let you know, because obviously they're going to do it in the last 2 seconds when you can't actually see the screen.
So, interesting setup from Dragonborns here. Currently, Jace is still with Shushi, so I don't want to really talk about it until we've ended the time here, because it probably is going to be pointless by the end. But Gambit setup, we can definitely talk about, Jason.
Well, it has to be. Why would Kennen run bottom with, you know, the mana from Soraka? That's where my mind is. But yeah, looking at Gambit, I mean, they have Genja on Ezreal. That's his like pretty much 80 champion to play these days if it isn't Misfortune. And of course, Alex on that Twisted Fate, he's going to show a little bit of his skill on him. And he has quite a number of lanes to go to. I mean, he has a top lane, which you have the stun from Darren. You have the bottom lane with the stun from Sona. He has any lane he wants to pick apart at this point. And the last seconds we did see Jace actually swapped for Hosan. So we will have Ken in the mid lane, and we will have the Jace in the bottom.
So talk us through Jace in the bottom lane, Jason, because we don't see it very often, if almost at all.
I think it works a little bit like, well, with at least the Soraka combo, a little bit like the AP Nidalee they pulled off. I'm going to poke them down a little bit, and then you just want to try to all in them, because Jace does so much burst damage when he's in his hammer form. Also has a decent escape with the knockback. You have the speed increase if he needs, and Soraka is a relatively slow champion. It's going to come down to, I mean, if they can outburst the sustain that Ezreal and Sona have, it's really going to come down to that.
So here we go then, let's get in game. Dragonborns versus Gambit here. It's the second place team versus the last place team right now. 8th place, of course, Dragonborns currently in. Gonna have to get things going in Yamato Cannon and the rest of Dragonborns. I said it before that even when they're losing, they're definitely having fun. They are a very happy bunch of players, and we are gonna get in here. What can we expect, Jason, from level 1?
I wouldn't be surprised to see either team just go invade as much as they want, because like you said before, Gambit, they have their top 2 solidified. Dragonborns, they're solidifying the bottom 2. You have really nothing to lose at this point to just try out new strategies. It looks like both teams just going to play a little bit safe here. And Joe, I want to point out something that Shushi, so we saw Freddy 1-2 build a little of AD in the beginning and then go AP on his Kennen last game in the top lane, but Shushi actually, he's AP, but he has 1% crit. So he's trying to get for like a lucky crit in there, and then maybe finish it up with a kill, and we'll see how that works.
Yeah, that's, you know, we see a lot of that coming in, to be honest, that 1% crit. Sometimes it works out nicely. Sometimes you steal away your teammates' buffs, as we've seen also. I think it was Crepo that actually did that one with the 1% crit in there. So Mover actually going to get himself a ward down. Darian had spotted that because he's down in that bush on the bottom lane.
Yep, so we are having those lane swaps come in, and we have Genjo, a 24 flat armor pen in the top lane with Edward against a Yamato cannon on Zed with currently 37 armor. So Genja is just going to destroy him if he gets any auto attacks off on him. He's going to get the early level 2 as well, so he's going to be able to push him in a lane quite easily.
Yeah, they're going to be starting up on the top with the golems. We can see Gambit here going to be giving a bit of help to Diamond, who starts off with the wolves. And by help, I mean Darian's just going to steal them all away. And then he will move down towards that blue buff. On the other side, we see Malunu starting with the Wraith. Shushe helping him out with that one. The bottom lane of Soraka, Jace helping, just taking the golems, and Soraka's going to go up and give a hand with the red buff.
It was actually a pretty smart play to Darren right there to sit that close to the wolves, because he leached a little bit of experience, so he'll hit his level 2 relatively quicker. That way he can't be forced out so easily by Dragonborns, who's going to take the double golems anyways. It's going to help him out quite a bit. Diamond does secure his blue, as it looks like Luna will take that red. So Diamond will potentially be using the top lane after that red buff, since he has that smite available, and Luna might be going towards the top as well, so you might see a really early clash up there.
Oh, there we see Ignite coming down for Darian. Look at this. He's going all in here on towards Hosan. Notices that Movement's coming around the corner. Hosan going to go in there aggressive as well. And, well, that was a very interesting start to that one. Of course, Barrier Flash. That's a Hosan trademark there. He loves to bait those barrier fights.
Yes, he does. And you saw the top lane right there really quickly on your screen is that how much damage one Q and one auto attack does to Yamato Cannon. Takes him down about a fifth of his health. And that is not a good sign for Yamato Cannon to be in. He's going to have to build some sort of health to sustain that lane, or get some help from Maluno as well in the top lane.
Maluno is right now doing the blue buff. Obviously went smiteless on the red, so that's going to be taken down here in just a second. Diamond actually coming towards the middle area. He does have the double buffs on him right now. He was spotted by a ward headed north, so this attempt at a 3-man gank is, I'm not going to say not going to be successful, but the fact is that Zed is there waiting. Maluno is now coming over the side, going to get the withering onto Diamond, so they know that he's going to be there. Are they just going to go for this one anyway?
They might. I mean, it's at that 330 mark. They have a huge bunch of wave at that turret right now, and they're taking the next wave as well on top of that, and they are going to go for it.
They are going to go. Bandage toss actually misses, but here comes Genja from the top side. There is first blood. Diamond going to flash away from this one. Did lose a little bit of health, but that was so well executed from Gambit. And if you've got that ward there, and you know that's going to happen, why are you still on the turret?
He had no escape, unfortunately, for him.
Well, he did, because he saw him coming in about half an hour before they actually killed him. I don't understand that. Maybe it's just my brain, but I don't understand. Because Nasus had backed off as well. Whatever. First blood coming over for Gambit here with their AD carry, of course, Genja in the top lane.
And you saw it there. We mentioned the armor pen off of Genja for a good point, because you saw how quick Yamato Cannon just got shredded through right there. He's going to have to build something. As you see Maluno going in on the top lane.
Yeah, going to go in for this one. Actually, Edward will be forced to flash away. Genja being slowed down here by that red buff. He uses his flash to escape back towards the turret, and Dragonborn's putting some good pressure back, but not quite kills. Darian also going low in the bottom lane. I'm assuming that was the shot blast coming through. And Shushe is going to go in here on towards Alex. Ignite is ticking on Shushe. He needs one more card. There's a flash from both, but they both did it simultaneously. And Alex not quite able to get that final hit off.
And that was Shushe being very aggressive there, trying to show his mastery of this Kennen. Unfortunately, he did lose that side of the trade. He is ahead in CS right now, though, which is going to help him out quite a bit. Maluno is sticking by this lane, so he wants to make sure he doesn't miss this wave at all or get forced out right away, as they could potentially go for him here with a nice wither, but they don't really know. Actually, I was about to say, they don't really know where Diamond is, but they do see him in the bottom lane, so they don't know where Darian is.
Yeah, Darian going to be coming back down to that one. As I said before, did get low, so probably expected that he's just gone home from that one. Alex going to come back into lane with double Doran Ring plus the Boots of Speed. Genja also got Boots of Speed, Vamp Scepter, and that Doran's Blade from earlier on. So he's going to be coming back doing even more damage now on towards Zed.
And we talked about Twisted Fate earlier on today when we saw him, is that he can be so impactful in the game. We saw Bjergsen use him quite well, quite extensively into the top lane, picking up those kills on Renekton over and over again. And we'll see what if Alex decides to do that. I mean, you have the bottom, like we mentioned before, you have the stun out of Darren, you have the top lane stun out of Edward when he hits level 6, you have the damage out of Genjo, which we already saw against Yamada Cannon. Every lane is really a strong possibility.
As Mover just recalling from that one. Darren going to have a bit of time here to get some CS under his belt. Said, despite that that death earlier on, does have more minions than Renekton at this point. We're seeing a couple of Spirit Stones coming out, obviously one for each jungler, Crystalline Flask for both, and Amumu, because of that assist from earlier on, does have the Boots of Speed in there as well.
Yeah, that Flask is going to come really in handy because you rely on so much mana as a Nasus and an Amumu in the jungle, and just being like 10 mana short of your ultimate can completely change the way a game's going to pan out. So we'll see how well that works out for him, and he's also close to level 6, which is where his ganks are really going to come in. We do have Alex who's level 6 right now. The lane is pushed up, and he is actually making a move towards his top side, it looks like.
Yeah, he's going to be trying to work himself, and maybe not, or just take the race, yeah. But Hosan and Mover will be going to this top lane now, so we are going to see a head-to-head. Gambit, of course, with that first blood under their belt. Although Jace, with a double Doran's Blade in there, is still going to be doing a lot of damage.
And then you have in the bottom lane that 1v1 with Yamada Cannon and Darren. Darren is level 6 right now. Yamada Cannon is 5, as Darren should be able to harass him quite a bit, and maybe even push him out. Diamond getting caught here as he gets hit with the Wither.
Yeah, Wither goes down, but we are going to see them pushing into this one. Not quite up to his ultimate, but Shushay does have his ulti, and Diamond gets completely caught out of position there. Face checking right into that bush, and that will be a good kill back for Dragonborns. And that kill going down to Shushay.
Yeah, much needed kill. I mean, he wasn't losing his lane in any way, but he's going to need this farm. He's going to need the extra gold to keep up with Twisted Fate, who can just roam around so much easier than he can. Not to mention that passive off of TF to give him that extra gold income. The top lane stabilized a little bit here as you see Alex trying to go in, just trying to harass him, but those double Doran's Blades going to give Shushay quite a bit of sustain.
Yeah, definitely will, and also makes his auto attacks very, very painful when he goes through as well. We can see that Genjo and Edward are pushing this wave of minions up towards that Dragonborn turret as well. And so now we know Edward really loves to be very, very aggressive there, putting as much damage out as he can. And that is certainly playing into their hands here as well.
I'm a little surprised to see actually Hosan go for a tier. When we saw him play AP Nidalee with Soraka in the lane, he just went full AP because he knew he had the constant mana over and over from his Soraka, but this time he's going for it, so he's looking for a little bit more of a poke comp, I guess, a little more late game here, and we'll see how that works out, see if it will delay his build a little bit too long.
And we can see that Genjo really playing on the limits of that turret, and that's because we are going to see Twisted Fate coming in. Hosan gets locked up, Twisted Fate at the back. He's going to go down there. Edward actually was tanking the turret. Will fall. It's Jace that gets that kill, but Alex Hitch picks up another one. And actually, Soraka, they're doing a great job movement. Managed to pick off another one on towards Ezreal. 2 for 2.
Again, to overstay a little bit too long. Looks like the aggro of the turret wasn't separated correctly right there. So 2 for 2 trade in the end. Great job, but Gambit still comes out ahead because they have those extra assists on the Alex, who picks up his first kill. And of course, Genjo picking up 1 kill for himself as he does pick up a Vamp Scepter. And we see Hosan actually go for his cooldown boots, so he really wants to poke a lot. But you're against a Sona who can sustain quite well.
And we just saw there, pings coming down into River. Maluno had started to go back up north there, but they realize he's not coming past the ward. He's either in our jungle or he's going to be hanging around at that bottom lane. Maluno actually will recall from that one. So Darian not in any immediate danger from that side of things, and just as he recalls, he's going to go straight in on towards Yamato Cannon.
He's getting some good damage onto him. Not as much as Genjo was doing earlier, but it's enough to really put some fear into Yamada Cannon's eyes. And you're seeing Diamond. I mean, he does this on his Nasus. He likes to go for very early dragons, and yet he's doing it on this Amumu here. Alex will be coming down. No words currently for Dragonborns, and we'll be able to pick up this first dragon.
Yeah, Diamond likes to do it on his everything, I think. As early as he can, getting onto that dragon. We saw a 3-minute dragon from him earlier in the season when he played Udyr. This one not quite as fast, but it's a dragon nonetheless, and that will give them that nice lead. Genjo right now, he's been tormented a little bit on his own turret. Level 7 Hosan with the Boots of Lucidity being added into his build now.
Darren on the bottom lane could potentially go for a kill very soon. I mean, he has his Ignite available, he has his ultimate, and he could burst down Zed if he wants to. And then Genjo to the top lane, I mean, with that Vamp Scepter and that BF Sword, even without Sona there, you see his sustain. It's just ridiculous, and all the poke in the world won't really keep him out of this lane at all.
Yeah, and dodging nicely there as Alex Hitch headed north. I think he was thinking about it there. He's like, do I pop the Destiny? Are we going to go for this one? Not just yet. Pink ward down from Edward. will secure that tri-bush, but Maluno is up in the Gambit jungle.
He's trying to go for a red still here. As I say that, he just puts a ward and walks away, but he's just trying to get vision of where Diamond is. His ultimate is available, so he wants to make sure to spot him. And he might even stick around long enough to actually take away this red.
Well, he's going to put the Spirit Fire down there, as Edward taking a lot of damage in this top lane, but there we see the crescendo coming out. Hosan turns around there on towards Edward, but Genja is a bit of a menace. He's right up in their face. There's acceleration gate, which will get him away. Meanwhile, Shushe is pushing it on towards Diamond, and that's all from that ward that we saw earlier. Twisted Fate, though, he's going into the top lane. They're going to catch Hosan out. Needs a stun card here for Mover if they're going to turn this one up as well. There is the stun coming in. Have they got the damage? One more may just do it, but Gambit, after staying around too earlier, don't want to do that the same here. Genja low on mana right now. Shushe pushing in right on top of him. Maluno's actually going in towards Edward. Is Genja gonna fall? He gets stunned up. Mover has gone down. Maluno will finish off the kill on Edward. And now Shushe's getting turned upon. Can they finish up? There's the wither. That will keep him alive. And that was a crazy fight in this top lane.
And Edward, in true Edward style, flashes in and with the power chord and the Q, kills Mover in the end right there. So he was able to pick up 1-for-1. He knew he was dead anyways. Might as well get a kill from it and get an extra item on top of that. But a great turnaround from Dragonborns. Like you mentioned, it all started with that ward in the red bush. Able to catch Diamond. It's a second death of the game now, and then able to turn it around for them going towards that top side to pick up another kill.
Really well played. Still, though, they are 2,000 gold behind. We've seen consistently that Gambit, they've fallen behind many a game in terms of kills, but they always manage to stay ahead when it comes to gold. They took that first dragon down. Still no turrets have been picked off in this game up until now, but now the CS is pretty even. In some areas in their favor, some areas just a little bit behind, but now that's a good sign for them overall, because kills don't directly win games. You have to do something with it.
Yeah, very true. And you have to make sure you get the right items on top of that. But we do see the first turret of the game going down in that top lane for Dragonborns. And it looks like with Yamato Cannon backing out that he actually might go up towards that top side yet again and allow his AD carry support lane to go up against Darien, who's already doing such a great job. He's ahead in CS. He almost has a Sunfire cape built as well.
Thing is, Dragonborns have good poke in here as well, with especially with Hosan. And with that, Kenneth throwing the shurikens in there as well. But Hosan is going to be the one that tries to keep them off these turrets while they get those auto attacks in there to get them down. We'll see if they can do anything on that mid turret as Alexic just throws the ward in position. Maluno actually going to tank up here. Few auto attacks coming off, and do that 5 or 6 times and you've got rid of the outer middle turret. As we are going to see Yamato Cannon here getting very, very low in that bottom lane. And Darien in the end decides not to force through with it, but Yamato Cannon can't stick around for that one. Definitely not.
Yeah, he was forced to pop his red pot as well because it was that close of a fight. We do have the ultimate backup on a movement now, so if they want to go for an engage on this middle lane, they could have it happen. And of course, Alex, he has his Destiny available on top of that. He's getting the blue buff, so you might expect him to do it soon, because he'll obviously have a really reduced cooldown on it. But still, Hosan and Mover are sticking around the middle lane. They want to try to get this turret down, it looks like. But that turret's still relatively healthy, and with Edward sticking around to heal up Alex, there's really no way they can get to it.
Yeah, less than 2 minutes for the Dragon to come up. And now we see Darien just taking the minions before they can get into that lane. That turret going dangerously low and will fall, if not with this wave, but with the one afterwards. There's Maluno just spotting Diamond, sneakily trying to take away the golems. And I think Diamond did in fact pick them up there in the end as well. Nicely done.
And now Gambit answers with their own turret for themselves. Dragon will be up in a minute's time. As Genja is just farming away. I mean, he's pretty far ahead of Hosan right now, even in terms of build, because that Bloodthirster versus the Metamune is very one-sided affair. The Metamune is not really going to kick in until you turn it into that Mirror Mana, which obviously was changed in this patch to have do attack damage instead of magic damage. But Hosan, they have a lot of poke, but they don't have a lot of damage on him, so the poke's really not doing too much. And when you have that sustain with Sona, you have the tankiest out of the team, it's not going to work out as well as he hopes for it.
So Dragon is now less than a minute away. Gambit have controlled it generally in the games that we've seen them from them before, even when being behind on the kills. As that was a little bit strange. Hosan just missing his cue completely from that one. Darien is actually walking all the way through the jungle right now of the Dragonborns, just checking if the red's there, just sauntering on through. No real worries for him in that one. Hosan here is still managing to farm up, but Dragon coming up very shortly. There is Destiny pop. Hosan gonna get stunned up from this one, will knock Alex away, has to flash over, but here is Darien landing the stun in there, and Darien will pick up the kill.
That reaction time, holy crap, Joe. You saw Hosan flash for the wall, but Darren's like, I'm right behind you, man, and came in with the slice nice, got the stun, and of course Dragon up in 10 seconds. They can take that as well on top of that, but they are going for a lot of aggression on the middle lane. Dragon's trying to get this turret down, but you have Gambit coming in from the middle lane to stop this.
Oh, if the bandage toss lands here, they may just go in for it, and well, they did try and hit Shushay, but not quite connecting. Obviously did have Curse of the Sad Mummy available, so they might have just tried to lock Shushay out of that one. And then with that Dragon coming up, go about that. Diamond, as per usual, going to start off on his own.
Yeah, but look at the bottom lane right now. We have Alex pushing that second tier turret. Dragonborns have to react to this somewhat. Hosan's trying to get down to that lane. Looks like the rest of Dragonborns are going to come down. And we have Diamond trying to solo this Dragon currently, and he might get caught here.
Well, they've not seen him up until now. And he is incredibly, I was going to say incredibly low. He's still a half HP. He's been doing it for ages up until now. But they're going to leave him to do that one. Darian is going to get caught here. There's the ultimate coming out of Ezreal. Darian going very, very low. Will be finished off. Well, the Dragon has been finished. That bottom inner turret didn't quite die, though. But look, nice job from Hosan, that.
Yeah, and look what Dragonborns actually blew on that. I mean, they used the Kennen ultimate, they used the Nasus ultimate. We have Gambit coming in from the side with the Dragon toss, not landing on the right target, or else we could see an engage come out of them.
Yeah, they've got Crescendo available. They've got Curse of the Sad Mummy. The True Shot Barrage can come across the entire team if they're lined up from it as well. So we'll see what Dragonborns decide to do. For now, it looks like they're quite content with trying to get rid of this outer turret in that middle lane. But watch for a Mumu here. Diamond off towards the side. Genja actually getting withered up. And with that, not going to go in for the push.
And one thing we haven't touched on, Joe, that is a huge factor in how this game is going to go is Mover on Soraka with the ultimate. Like, that wish can really catch you off guard. If you try to go for a dive, you can turn the tides of a battle very easily. Just like we saw Gambit go for an engage here, the ultimate healing 5 people that much is just ridiculous. Haven't seen him use it just yet, but obviously we'll see it happen in the team fights later on.
Yeah, but look at this Gambit. They forced Dragonborns to go away, or Dragonborns just ran out of minions there, and then almost end up losing their own middle outer turret just because they have backed away from that one. You know, that just goes back to the whole give them a finger, they'll take your whole arm.
Yeah, that's very true. And then you see, you know, Genja right now. We talked about him as a highlighted player because he's very aggressive yesterday with that GA as his second item. Looks like he's doing it yet again, so we'll go for the same kind of build. And we already saw him like right there when they're defending the turret, when Dragonborn just sieging it. He arcane shifted into Dragonborns. Like, you just see how aggressive he is, and yet he wasn't really afraid of that.
Yeah, and he's going to head down to that bottom lane for a good chunk of farm from this one as well. But that's going to mean that Dragonborns do take down their second turret here. Nice pickup, the outer middle lane.
And that was bound to happen either way with how low it really was. And we talked about Genja as well, just likes to farm up quite a bit. He kind of disappears in the middle of the game, you forget about him, but he comes back with like 6 items and completely catches you off guard. Again, it's still in control of this game. They are up about 2,000 gold. It's tied in kills. Dragonborns do have the advantage in turrets. And that lane phase is pretty much over at this point, though Alex has still been able to commit some kills around the map.
Yeah, he's 1-0-4 right now. Lichbane along with that needlessly large rod. Hosan just making his presence felt there as he throws the shot blast through that acceleration gate. But in the middle lane, we can talk about the builds there because Kennen going for Haunting Guys, Seeker's Arm Guard. So he's doing what Freddy didn't do in that last game and get himself up towards that Zhonya's Hourglass.
And you see how deadly it is in that last fight that we saw happen. Like, his ultimate just shredded the enemy team.
Darian's going in for that one, and, well, just as I interrupt you, he backed away.
But we see how strong Kennen can be. That ultimate can really catch you off guard, and that Zhonya's is going to keep you alive quite well against this team. But Gambit, who's so organized in these team fights, like, they will burst you down so quick before you can even react to it normally.
Darian is looking for turret number 2 for Gambit. Obviously, he was the one that got the outer bottom turret, and he's going to take the outer top turret as well. So doing a great job. And Gambit going to get middle as well. And where are Dragonborns in all this?
They were heading towards top. And just we're a little bit late. I mean, that's what Gambit does really well, is that it can catch you off guard. Like, you get them going one way, and Gambit will just take the other side of the map from you. And then pick up 2 turrets concurrently like that is a very nice chunk of gold. And it looks like Darren's just going to keep pushing this top lane against his brother. And we'll see if Dragonborns can pick up a kill on him, because he's very tanky already at this point. Yeah,
he's got some fire cape in there. Merc treads Doran's blade and a cloth armor as he just backs off and goes back in. Alex Ich, of course, with that Lichbane, he's going to be doing some serious chunks of damage to those towers.
Yes, he can. I mean, you take a look at the bottom turret, which already got down to about 5th health just from pushing that for a little bit. So you should try to go in a little bit here on the mid lane onto Edward, but isn't able to get that stun down on him.
Alex able to zone him out there just with the stun card pulled, and that's enough to force you to start to back away. Xuexi is still going here, though, over towards Edward. He will, though, be poked back from that one. Maluno going in on towards Darian as well. Zed is going to be coming up towards his top side, but look at the amount of wards down for Gambit right now on the top side of that Dragonborn's jungle. They've got full vision there.
Yeah, it looks like they want to make a play over towards his top side as well, because Darian, like they know his downside is that he's really aggressive and he gets caught quite a bit, so they're warding for that, and they actually might make a play off knowing that.
Well, they are going to be taking away the blue buff from this one, but here comes Xuexi. Darian going to flash over the side. Diamond not quite getting caught up in the stun there, but at the same time, Alex is pushing through this middle lane. Genja pushing the bottom lane out. Hosan is defending that one, though. And that
the split push that comes out of Gambit right now with that Twist of Fate is just so deadly. The bot turret already low. He's already doing to the middle turret with the Lich Bane and the not the Death Cap, the Nuclear Large Rod. He just does so much damage to these turrets, and who can really 1v1 him at this point? I think if Xuexi all into me, could we see Diamond actually going over that wall, and that might be a mistake.
Yeah, that was an interesting move, going straight in there over the top onto the Wraiths. 3 men from Dragonborns in the immediate area, but he didn't really seem to care too much as he just backed away from it, taking a little bit of damage as he goes. Hosan here just waiting around that red buff. They know that that Gambit have got good vision in their jungle, and they know they need to be careful in terms of where they're stepping out and with, you know, how many members they end up doing that. We've got some new items coming into this one, or new items, they call them, obviously some new buys, let's say. The Guardian Angel for Genja. We saw that, we talked about it in the pregame. Bloodthirster, Guardian Angel, he can afford to be a lot more aggressive now.
And he will do that, matter of fact. I mean, the thing is, if he does go in and get caught and die, look what you have to back him up. You have a Mumu come in, he'll lock him down with the ultimate, so you have a way to get out as Genja. You also have Darren, who would just be this giant crocodile in the middle of him, stunning up people, also doing some damage. And then you also have the stun out of Alex, so he can afford to go in and die, and then he has his whole team to back him up, even with the crescendo. Like, you'll kill him, but you'll commit so many resources to it that Gambit will return the fight.
We just see Jace coming in to cover. Darian is now split pushing the top lane, so it's just all coming at once here for Dragonborns. Top lane being pushed, bottom lane being pushed. Twisted Fate, though, is there. The Dragon is available.
And Dragonborns aren't reacting to this. They're letting it push that top lane. They're going to try to take Dragon here, but they might lose a team fight.
Well, let's see how it goes. Genja taking a wither there coming out, but here comes Diamond. Where is the curse of the Sad Mummy? There is a crescendo, first of all, and there is the curse. He locks up 3 members. First kill for Alex Ich. Zed is going to go down. Diamond going to dive back in. Genja at the back is taking on Hosan and Movet right now, but Maluno and Xuexi are both very, very low. Diamond continues to move in. Here comes Twisted Fate, stun Xuexi. Wild cards don't connect onto Maluno. There is Hosan from the side as well, but Gambit is still going flash, and the stun card and the wild cards. Perfectly done from Alex Ich, and Darian is still pushing the top lane. We are going to see the inner die there on that bottom lane. Darian, of course, finished the inner top turret, and now they're going straight onto this inhibitor turret in the bottom and the top lane at the same time.
That was a 5v4 for Gambit, or sorry, 4v5 for Gambit, and they still came out ahead, winning that fight completely, not losing anyone on their team. Darren just took 2 turrets in a row on the top side. They take the bottom inhibitor turret. They're going to get the bottom inhibitor off of that. That was just, it was a major misplay by Dragonborns and a major capitalization on that out of Gambit.
You know things aren't going your way when 3 out of your 5 players have got double Doran's somethings. 2 Doran's blades there on Zed, 2 on Kennen, 2 on Hosan as well. And ironically, the Dragon, after that fight, is still available.
They weren't able to burst it down. They just got caught out of position. And I mean, we talked about giving Gambit a finger. They just took the arm right there off of the Dragonborns. They just completely punished them for that little bit of a mistake that happened. They should have locked down that Dragon. It looks like they will out of Alex.
Well, he missed that one, but they are going to be charging into this one. They're going to go for Alex Ich. Gets the stun card down. Curse of the Sad Mummy comes in, but the Death Mark finishes off. Double kill coming out there for Zed. Nice play out of Yamato Cannon, but now Gambit might try and go for them. No, they won't. They just want that blue.
Well, I mean, the thing is, with how far ahead they are right now, they have the bomb inhibitor down, so that lane's going to keep pushing constantly. They have the top inhibitor open if they want to go for a Dragon, or actually Dragonborns are going for a Desperation Baron right now. It's a smart play, but I don't know if they have the damage to actually take it down right now.
It is a Desperation Baron, that's for sure. They've fallen over 10,000 gold behind. This will be a massive coup for them in this match, but can they do it without Gambit realizing? The answer to that one, of course, is already no, as Hosan misses a bit more poke, and Darian is right in the middle of them there. Baron is still dropping off. Genja going to arcane shift away from the ultimate there. Keeps doing a bit of damage from the side. Darian's actually done a good job. Even though he's gone down, he's already started off getting them very, very low. There is Wish coming out of Mover. Genja takes a shot blast to the face. Was withered as well. There is a great bandage toss landing from Diamond. Doesn't have Curse of the Sad Mummy available to him just yet. And look at this, 4v2, and Gambit are chasing them. They're running scared at this point, and that is 4 versus 2, and they're running away. Make that 3 because Twisted Fate is going to join the party. Maluno going to go down. Soraka going to go down. Shushe being chased. Where's the stun card? Minions blocking Alex, and that doesn't quite land either there. The bandage toss from Diamond, but they're going to secure inhibitor number 2.
And you have to look at that whole fight from the beginning where Darren was 1v5 even against Baron, so 1v6. And the entire time was able to pick up a kill. He ended up dying for it, but that whole chase out of Gambit was able to catch Dragonborns off guard. The entire super minion wave in the bot lane was able to push up, kill Nexus turret on its own. Gambit looks like they're going to be able to finish up this game.
Yeah, there's a crescendo coming in. Shushe having to use his Zhonya's Hourglass Yamato cannons there. As the Zhonya's runs out, actually Twisted Fate that gets it, but the ultimate came out of Genja as well. And they're falling like flies, as are the Nexus turrets. Nexus going to be focused in, or will Gambit go for a couple more cheeky kills here at the end? Genja's certainly trying it, but the Nexus will die. And Gambit are going to take down Dragonborns here in a very much one-sided affair. The kills 14 for 9 in the end. Don't really tell the whole story of that game. Gambit really did control it.
They did, and the game was relatively close in the beginning, but you just saw how quick a game can go against you with Gambit just snowballing it. Like that snap of the finger, game completely out of your hands, and Gambit ran away with it.
So, good win for Gambit. Congratulations to them. We're going to go over to Demon and Quickshot to wrap up the game.
Yes, and another great game, and really a very one-sided game towards the end now. I think it's safe to say Gambit gaming, no surprises to really anyone watching that they did take down the Dragonborns and obviously stay in that top position. Fnatic will be challenging them later on, but currently they are holding on strong to that #1 spot.
Yeah, and you know what? In this particular game, we've seen some interesting things from the teams in terms of the compositions. First and foremost, the Ken and Jace being picked. We actually seen that earlier today in OGN coming up from KT Rolster A, but they ran them in the solo laners, and we actually seen Yahosa saying, look, I'm going to try and make AD Jace work. He built Muramana yesterday on his Ezreal, if I remember correctly. This is the patch where it has changed, but he's currently the only AD trying to make that mana immune to Muramana work, and it just didn't quite work out for them. We also seen Diamond Prox and Amumu. We don't have very fond memories of Diamond Prox and Amumu, and if I'm going to be very critical, he did get caught out. Positioning was a little bit poor in this particular match, but it didn't quite feel like Gambit were necessarily giving it their all.
They didn't seem quite behind him either. Whenever he tried to make the plays, they were like, oh, well, I'm off to buy. What are you doing? Why are you attacking? But it was all about, you know, towards the end there, Darian was doing what Darian does. He split pushes. It's what the team kind of wants. I don't know whether the team wants him to do it, but it's what he does anyway. And he was down the bottom. They thought, okay, great, we can get Dragon. Oh, wait a minute. He's going to take that turret and be on our inhibitor turret. And the rest of Genja, the rest of the team, along with Genja, are also thinking, well, we can prevent you taking that, and they did. And the Dragon, it didn't even go down in the end.
No, it didn't. It did after the whole team fight, after they'd lost, what was it, 2 towers, an inhibitor, 4 deaths, and then the Dragon as well. Like, it was a very one-sided game. Dragonborns, they tried something out. Again, their early game Gambit did not work. We've seen it out the red pots, and it didn't work for them in that game. This one, the composition, didn't work for them here. So, unfortunate for them, but a good matchup from Gambit. They did what they needed to do. They outplayed their opponents, and they reclaimed that first position.
So that takes us towards the MVP of the match, and of course it was Alex Ich, because, well, again, you let him have Twisted Fate, and he's going to be destinying around the map and picking up the kills left, right, and center.
And it's exactly what happened. There was 1 or 2 sloppy plays coming out of those Destiny usage. Up in the top lane, for example, they gave away a few more kills than they needed to. But I think it just comes from the fact that they weren't necessary. This game didn't mean anything. You know, the team, they were sitting there guaranteed top 2. Dragonborns are guaranteed bottom 2, and it's just a matter of who gets first, who gets second. So you could sort of see that a little bit in Gambit's gameplay and a little bit in Dragonborn's picks. And congrats to Gambit. They, like I said, overtaken, and they're currently that higher place seed going into the playoffs.
So from that position, when we do look at it from, it doesn't mean a great deal for either team. Obviously it means between where they're going to finish in the playoffs and who they're going to get in the promotion series. You know, what are we thinking from Dragonborns if they were to say, look at Meet Your Makers right now, or Dexter is actually evil?
Well, from the little bit that we have seen of Meet Your Makers in terms of some of the previous competitions and some of the Challenger Circuit events, they're looking incredibly strong. In Lille, a few weeks ago, they were looking fantastic, and about 2 weeks ago when we ran the Challenger Circuit event, they were really on point.
Yeah.
They picked up the victory there. So Dragonborns are going to have to be scared because their entire document of match history can now be reviewed by MYM. And you have to think that there's some psychological play here. Let's play some strange compositions. Let's force our opponents to think and expect anything because they need to re-qualify for the summer split and get that job security that a lot of teams have been talking about.
Well, we'll see whether they can do it. Of course, that will be coming up in 2 weeks' time, the 7th, 8th, and the whole promotion series. Next week will be the playoffs, but right now we have an interview on the main stage. It's going to be Diamond Prox, and translating, of course, Alex Ich alongside Shocks.
Yes, I'm here with Alex and Diamond Prox. First question is for you, Alex. Going up against a Cannon mid, not something we see that often. How was that?
So I thought it will be Jace mid. They got last second swap, but I don't think that I would go Magic Resist anyway. So against Cannon, it's fine before 6, and after 6, I'm Twisted Fate. So it's really easy matchup for Twisted Fate.
And you, Diamond, what do you think of their team comp with the Jace, bot lane, Soraka, and you on Amumu, a champion we don't see that often anymore either?
Diamond, что ты думаешь по поводу их матчапа? Ботлейн, Джейс, Сорака, Cannon мид, ну вообще в общем.
Я думаю, единственный полезный герой из всего их пика это был Джейс. Ну, из всего вышеперечисленного, скажем так. Ничего особенного я уже увидел от Carry Джейсов, и они были получше этого.
So, Diamond saying that that pick was really like all wired heroes, only Jace is good, and he saw a lot of AD carry Jaces, and he saw better AD carry Jaces.
All right, that's clear. Now, Diamond, you guys are both in the All-Star team, of course. What do you think of your teammates? Well, except for the ones you already know, of course.
Diamond, что ты думаешь о своих новых тиммейтах в All-Star команде?
Я думаю, что Yellow Pit мы сможем заставить играть на действительно полезных чемпионах, и он покажет, насколько он хорош. Надеюсь, достаточно. А Соус и так умеет играть на самом скилловом герое в Лиге Легенд Лисине, так что с ним проблем не будет.
So Yellow, I don't think that we can make Yellow Pit play on really useful heroes, and we'll see how it will go. And Sauce can play on the most skilled champion in the game, Lee Sin, so it will be fine.
All right. And finally, you're playing against EG later. I don't know if you know this, but Snoopy won't shave his beard until they win against you. So could you do us all a favor and let them win?
Снупи не будет бриться, пока ЕГЭ нас не выиграет, поэтому можем ли мы им проиграть?
Пока он не отрастит бороду, как у бояр на Руси, без вариантов.
So I don't know how it is in Russian, but he says it like until his beard will be really long, like Russians. I don't know how to say it. It's in the old times, like Russian noble people.
Aha.
So until that,
Okay.
no.
Okay, I see. Well, it's going to be a good match anyway, and I know you're going to try your best to beat EG. Thank you very much. Now, after the break, the Giants and the Copenhagen Wolves meet for the final time. The score is currently 2-1 for Bjergsen and his squad, but the Giants will be looking to make it 2-2 as they want to get their hands on that 6th spot after the break. And we'll also be talking to the All-Star player manager, the European All-Star manager, excuse me, Harry, after the break. So don't go anywhere.